welcome to Inspiring Each Other. I'm Dr. Phil Worth, and tonight I'm here with my friend Jim White. Jim and I go way back to 2007. When I first met Jim, there was a lot going on, and there was a little bit of anxiety and a little bit of depression, and we were struggling to adjust some medications. And slowly but surely, we got things going. Jim, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
It's my
Pleasure to be here.
Tell me about the beginning, you know, the late high school stuff and some of the anxiety and depression that you dealt with, and then, you know, some of the emotions you had at the beginning.
It started really when I was young, but I started taking medication when I was like 14. Really, my parents worked a lot, so I was alone quite a bit. So my biggest outlet was music. So music was a huge thing for me. Really got me through a lot. It was just, wild high school years, if you know what I mean.
I do, and as I've recently gone through, you know, a bit of a divorce, I can relate to that feeling of being alone, you know, and for me it was a lot of how did I get here, and what do I do with this emotion that I'm feeling at this point? Um, what did alone mean to you as sort of this 14, 15-year-old kid? What emotions were you feeling back then?
I was kind of numb, to tell you the truth. I didn't have much to say. A lot of broken promises,
Mm-hmm.
Just not a lot of friends. I think everybody in my class would tell you I was somewhat reserved.
And I think for me personally, that lonely feeling is awful. It's just a really hard place to be.
Yeah.
As we first met in the office, you know, I think you were 22 or 23, and the world seemed to be in a little better place. If I remember correctly, you had a pretty good job at Gould's, and
Yeah.
When did you start working at Gould's?
Let's see, was it 2006, 2007? Right there.
And you were doing good there, and then I think you opened up a motorcycle shop or repair shop. Tell me about that.
Me and my best friend at the time just decided, we were actually having a party one night, and we're like, everybody else can do it. Why can't we? I'm tired of making money for other people. So let's give it a go. And next thing you know, we're turning dirt.
So tell me about that. When you give it a go, what is that process to get that shop open and off the ground? Because that's not an easy thing.
No, it's not. It's thankfully, Mike, he was handling a lot of the financial stuff because there's no way I could be able to do it.
But you still had to plan inventory and design in the
we
shop.
had to,
You built a building, didn't you?
Yeah, we had to cut all the trees down and we had to clear the land. So we literally built it from the ground up.
And how much time was that? A month or 3 months or 4 months? Tell me through that little part of your journey.
Building
the shop and getting that up and going.
Almost 2 years.
Were you doing some of the work on the side as you were doing it? You know, were you starting to repair things before the doors were really open?
Slowly. We were doing some repair work before and then kind of halted.
And then it gets up and going, and I remember you working like a fool, right? I think you were working nights at Gould's, and then you do days in your shop and just trying to make it all work.
Yeah. And then I just decided one day at Gould's, I was in my early 20s too, so I thought I was on top of the world. So, I don't need these guys. So like, what? And just worked for myself. And at first, it was good at first.
Walk me through that.
Very successful shop. It really could have gone somewhere. My dad's illness, that creeped up on it. about a year and a half into it.
So we spend a couple of years getting the doors open of the shop. You're a year into the shop. It starts going,
Hmm.
and then your dad's ALS kind of takes a turn for the worst.
It hit me like a brick wall. I didn't even know what it was. We thought he just had a cold. You know,
And how does that progress?
his speech just got worse and worse and worse. It got to the point where I was the only one that could understand.
And were you doing some of the caregiving stuff for your dad at that point?
Yeah, he was still with his girlfriend at the time, but I was doing all the stuff around the house,
And from
outside wise.
yeah, from that diagnosis to your dad's passing with ALS, how long a time frame is that?
Roughly 2.5 years.
And as that illness occurs, tell me about the trajectory of the shop, right? So now you're trying to help dad and manage that, and the shop's open, and you're juggling a couple things.
Um, at that time, the shop didn't matter anymore. Um, I would spend pretty much my whole day and night and 24 hours a day, pretty much just exhausting myself, looking for something else.
To help your dad.
Yeah. Or another
Before that,
another test, just something different.
I remember you asking me a lot of things about ALS and how can we save this and how can we prevent it, and you were really into trying to help your dad get through this.
Yeah.
Um, do you close the doors on the shop as you're going through that? What happens to the shop with you and your buddy?
Mentally, I think I just couldn't handle it anymore. To just be point blank and honest, mentally, I just had a breakdown.
Yeah. And so now we're just focused on dad.
Yeah, and then I couldn't even focus on him entirely because I was just such a wreck.
And ultimately, dad passes away.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that. How hard a bump was that for you?
It it was crazy how it happened. He had one of these beepers that went off because I slept upstairs. So if something was to happen, you pull the little pin and it would start going off. One morning it did. And he had a lot of pain down his gut, and his appendix burst. And we could not get a place to operate on him because of his ALS. So he became septic, and I got a call at work saying he signed the paperwork. He was gone 4 hours later.
And at that point, you're back at Gould's again. Where are you working at that point? As you've kind of lost dad. Or
I was working for a printing press company in Macedon.
So now you're dealing with dad. And
It
that
really,
loss, and there was a
it
big
really
pause in the
didn't hit.
state, right?
It really didn't hit me for a couple of weeks. It actually hit me. Kyle and I was helping with my accident. We were actually plowing a field, and it just hit me out there, like Dad's gone.
Was this dad's field that you were plowing?
No, it was
Your
just down. It
buddy's
was
field?
just down the road, but it's like I don't know what came over me. I don't know if it was my 13th beer that did it, but you know what I mean.
It hit you.
Yeah, and I remember just straight shutting the tractor down, just bawling.
Yeah, I've talked to a lot of people that, and I've experienced myself recently, and you get hit with this wall of emotion that I can't quite describe, and you can't hold back the tears, and it just feels like um, the weight of the world is on your shoulders, and you
Yeah.
can't get up. How long does that emotional break last for you? Is it a minute? Is it an hour? How long are you kind of down?
I tried to clear it up before, Kyle made his rounds,
Yeah.
But then I kind of locked it up inside for a while, and things turned for the worst.
Yeah, so the journey, the part of the journey that I remember after that is you're trying to help your buddy, mow the field again, and then there's
That's
this
a
horrific
different
accident.
property. I stopped over on a whim, and it was getting later in the day. He had a bunch. He would be well in the dark by the time he was done. And there's another tractor sitting there, so it's like, hey, give you a hand. We put him on for about an hour. When I get into a difficult spot, and then all of a sudden, boom.
Talk about the difficult spot. What, like when you're trying to drive a tractor around a pond, what, like you're on
Well,
off edge,
the
you're on balance.
the
Explain
problem
that to me.
I with the type of tractor I was on, I shouldn't have been where I was. I was on a tricycle front end. It's like a 3-wheeler, so it's prone to tip. And when the ground gave way, it just so fast. Man, that thing hit so hard.
And talk me through that. What do you remember about that hitting? And where's your body end up as the tractor goes over? What happens?
Um, they had nobody had their cell phones on them. Kyle's was up in his truck. Mine was in my pocket, but it was underwater. So they had to tie my hoodie to the tractor so I didn't drown.
So, but walk me through. You are mowing on the edge of this tractor, or on the edge of the pond with the tractor,
Yeah.
and then the whole thing goes into the water, and the tractor ends up on top of you in the water.
Yeah, and I was pinned. I turned my leg around under my knee, like 180, and I was stuck on like this.
And the tractor's on top of that right leg.
Yep. And I was just yanking and yanking and yanking.
And that thing won't move.
Well,
What are you feeling at that moment?
I mean, panic. I remember yelling at Kyle, and the only thing I wanted, I was soaked with oil, gas. The only thing I wanted was a cigarette. Only thing I wanted, just to try to calm down.
So you're racing.
Oh, God.
Do you think you're going to die at that moment?
I was coming to terms with it. I mean, I did come to terms with it. I was at peace.
And we're holding your head out of the water with tying your hoodie to the tractor.
Yeah.
The tractor's on your legs. Your legs all spun around in a mess. And now the crew's coming to help you out of there.
Nobody can get back there because it's all mud. And I needed blood, so the closest was in Bradford, PA. So I think I was like 3 hours under there.
And so how do they get you out of the water, right? With this, how do they get you out from under the tractor?
Well, they're having problems with the airbags, like to lift the tractor up because they kept just compressing down into the pond.
So the plan is to stuff an airbag under the tractor, blow it up with air to get it off your legs so we can pull you out of there.
And then they ran out of equipment.
And so how long were you semi underwater pinned in a tractor?
I think roughly around 3 hours.
Okay.
And then once they got off me, like all hell broke loose.
When it comes off, what do you remember? Do you ever pass out? What do you remember about that moment when this thing comes off you?
I mean, I remember I was yelling at them, cutting my shoe off because they were like my favorite shoes, and I remember my foot just dangling over the stretcher, and I'm yelling at them because you cut my shoes off. What's going on? I kind of went from like a dead state to like one last hurrah before.
Do you remember the pain? Do you remember it being severe? What do you remember about the physical pain of it at that moment?
Awful. No. honestly, with all the struggles that were going on before that, I was kind of pissed that they saved me.
You were emotionally beat down, and if it ended, it ended.
And like I said, I came to terms. I was at peace.
When they finally get that tractor off you, how do you get to the hospital?
Mercy flight, life net.
So does the helicopter land right in the muddy field, and they get you over into this thing, and off you go?
Yeah, Mom got there actually, and they kicked her off the helicopter because I had my blood pressure was so low.
And were you at Upstate? I don't remember
Yeah,
where
upstate.
So they fly you to Upstate. Do you remember anything about that journey, about going to surgery, about pre-surgery,
Yeah, I
or what's your
remember
memory there?
getting poked and prodded, and it was bad.
And what year was that?
2013.
And you go in, you have the surgery, and you come out of surgery.
I had 9 surgeries in a month.
Talk me through that.
And it's just like Groundhog's Day every day, and it was a great staff. God bless them up there. They treated me great. But I mean, the only way I know that I was having surgery is I wasn't getting breakfast.
So they would finish a surgery. You would think that would be it, but then they would go back in to do something else.
Yeah, it was a lot of it was just cleaning.
To prevent infection,
getting,
kind of thing.
Getting tissue out. And I think that's why they ended up taking all that on my arm.
So you had a skin graft from your arm to go down on your leg?
Sural flap. And that was to like cover the hole that was there on my leg.
How long do you remember being in the hospital?
Oh, I was 31 days.
And at the end of that, you're ready to go home. What's the leg like?
Just destroyed.
Could you walk on it?
No. I had a PICC line in. I could barely leave the house. I had to do antibiotics so much. All the nurses coming in. I mean.
So we're a month in the hospital. And how long are you kind of, trapped at home, if you will, with, IV antibiotics and a leg that doesn't quite work?
With that was like 6 weeks. And then, I slowly started to get around, and the leg just wasn't healing. I just kept on. I really didn't care anymore. That's when the drinking and stuff got bad.
So stuck there with a leg that doesn't work.
Absolute misery.
And on pain pills for the leg. And drinking a lot at that point, right? Just kind of feeling sorry for yourself. Tell me about those emotions.
2 liters of rum a day. That and 3 frozen pizzas a week.
And you're staying with Mom at that point?
No, I actually had an apartment. During that time, I did try to go to a rehab, but I detoxed and everything was awful. And I went there, and their elevator was broke, so I could not get admitted.
Because you couldn't get up the stairs.
Yeah.
I remember having the conversation with you as this infection didn't heal, and we're talking a little bit about, what do you think? Should we just cut this leg off, right? Tell me about that decision to kind of let go of a limb in this setting.
I wish I did it right from the beginning. But I didn't.
And how much time are we talking there? Is that a couple of months, 6 months? How
2
long
years.
was that? So on and off on antibiotics, stuck a lot in your apartment.
Yeah, it was terrible. It's just rotting.
And now we go in to take the leg off. Tell me about that.
At I went into an appointment and my leg was starting to feel warm, and I was to the point where I was done. Let's go. Um, so I went into it optimistic. You know, it turned out well.
And
You know,
how long are you in the hospital after you have your kind of amputation?
4 days.
And was there any withdrawal issues at that point, or alcohol withdrawal, or any trouble from?
No, I was clean for about. I didn't drink for about, I don't know, 2 weeks before my surgeries. I had some issues. My liver was screaming at me,
Yeah.
so I had to get that in check before I could get surgery done. But
One of my favorite memories of you back then is as you got back on your feet. You were like Pee Wee Herman everywhere on your bicycle, right? You were riding all over the place. You had one leg and you're just buzzing around town. You'd ride your bike to my office. I feel like you lost like 20 pounds, and looking at you at that time, you had bounced back from a really, really dark place to this, better place.
mhm.
Um, and were you were in a good spot for a year-ish after that as you were rehabbing and getting used to.
Yeah, I think one thing I went wrong about that I tried. A lot of people try it. Alcoholics is like non-alcoholic beer,
Mm,
and it's straight up setting you up for failure. You know. So I did that, and that's all leading up to where I went into college again. I
yeah.
decided let's try this again. Let's try a new life.
And I can remember filling out paperwork for you and trying to get you. It was airplane mechanic you were trying to do, right?
Airframe and power plant, yeah, for
And where
aviation.
was that? Where were you doing that?
On Griffiths Air Force Base, in Mohawk Valley Community College.
I love it. And so at that point, I remember you being on top of the world and excited to start this new career. Um, what was the reality? Is that really where you were at that moment?
I thought so.
Yeah. So you get to
I thought
school and then it goes wrong again. Walk me through that.
so. I'm more of a hands-on learner. I struggle with comprehension, like reading, and it was so many regulations. I mean, the books were, and it was just too much. I was alone. I just felt like I was failing again. It's like, here we go.
And so as this "here we go again" hits you, um, how do you fall off, right? How do you fall again?
It was quick. It was real quick. Went from, just sneaking off a couple beers to back to,
All in.
yeah, wide open. And, in that process, I got 2 DWIs, within 2 years. Became a felon. And
So now we're failed again. This is another rock bottom kind of in your journey.
yeah, and at that point, I kind of wanted to be left alone, honestly. I just wanted everybody to stop hurting because of me.
Meaning family and friends around you.
Yeah.
There's a lot of phone calls from your mom over the years.
Yeah.
Her and I would talk. She was constantly worried about you, and then there would be this glimmer of hope, and then she was kind of worried again.
Yeah, I'd come out every now and then, but
how does the school end after the second DWI? Are they like, you're dismissed, you're out of here, you can't do this anymore? How do you end up kind of failing out of that school?
I just I was failing. There was no point in me going no more, so I just wasted away in this, crummy apartment.
Same stuff.
So
Rum and pizza.
yeah. Pizza was more expensive though this time.
And is when you're struggling there, and what's the changing point? When do you finally decide to go to rehab to try to get out of this?
Um, I was up in Syracuse, and I was looking to end it, and then at the last minute, I called cops, and then I got admitted, psych.
When you say you were looking to end it, where are you? Where are you in Seneca Falls? Are you sitting on the side of the road? Are you ready to jump off a building? You got a gun to your head? What's that spot?
Wrecked a truck to Syracuse, and that was it for me. Up in a hotel and just wanted to be gone.
How were you going to do it?
Honestly, hanging.
And so you're there, and if there's someone out there that's at that rock bottom place, and I've talked to people in this spot before, what hits your mind where you go, I got to call 911 and ask for help? What's that little thing that happens that really saves you?
Honestly, thinking about my friends, family. I don't have many friends. I have, a little bit of family left, but what friends I have, they are the best you can ask for, and the least I could do for them, is get better. I didn't get better for me at first. If that makes any sense.
It makes complete sense. And so that night we call 911.
And I think that's maybe what happened the first time. I don't know.
So now you're psych, right? We're inpatient with all these things. What do you remember about that experience, being inpatient in a psychiatric hospital for a stretch?
It's a wild ride in there.
What's that mean? What's a bad day in there?
There's a lot of sick people, and I wish the stigma would go away so these people could get some help.
It can be complicated. As I can remember, I did my psychiatric rotation in New York City, and so I walked into a psych lockdown unit, and the first guy that passes me in the hall is this 6'4" black guy, and I'm 28, 29, and he looks me square in the eye and he says, "I'm going to kill you before you leave here." and to say that I was not terrified and overwhelmed and frightened, and I might have stooled a little bit in my pants at that moment.
It's crazy in there. You got to watch your back.
At the end of a couple of months,
this guy
was like, "Hey, Phil, how you doing?" Right? So when he got out of his own head and he was better, did you have any experiences like that with different people as you were going through this?
Honestly, I just stuck with a group of people, and I didn't take really much of it seriously yet. I was still kind of iffy.
And so from the mental health part, now we're in rehab for a while, right?
I tried, and then insurance. You go for like 3 days, and they think you're fixed.
So how do you finally get, away from alcohol and the troubles?
I don't know. I decided, to enter a facility in Bradford, dual diagnosis, because, I could not get properly diagnosed, for mental health, until I was off the drugs. and alcohol. So I was there for right around a month, and then I did inpatient treatment for 7 months uh, at a facility in Binghamton.
It for people that don't know, as a physician, it's really hard sometimes to figure out, is this really anxiety? Is this really depression? Is this really bipolar or schizophrenia or whatever diagnosis you want to give it? Or is it just withdrawn addiction from whatever the substance is that someone happens to be using at that time?
So,
And until you can really get clean from those substances, it's hard to figure out what's going on.
mhm.
Um, so we finished this rehab. In what year is this?
Let's see here. We are 2017.
And what's the next step? You come back home.
Come back home, and I gotta make some hard choices at that point. I gotta cut some people out of my life. You know, I kind of just hid away. I did AA a little bit for a while.
Tell me about. I've heard people talk about the super positive things about AA, and then some people it's hard for them to be in a group of people. To talk about your AA.
You gotta be open minded. You know, everybody comes from a different place. And, you know, they explain things differently. And you just really got to go in there with an open mind and be.
They talk about the 12 steps that they go through.
Mm-hmm.
Do you lean on any of those now, years later? Or is that something that didn't quite click with you?
It really didn't click with me, to be honest. But I tried it. I mean, honestly, it helped me. I can't say it didn't do anything for me. It kept me going until I was able to get off on my own.
And so now we're on our own. And how do you get started again?
Good friend of mine made a phone call, and I started working for Bonadent. And they took me in under their wing, and man, life just started getting good.
And is that 17, 18-ish?
Mm-hmm.
Sort of before COVID, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And from an outsider looking in, I can so remember you with all these struggles. And then there was something about when you started working at Bonadent, they embraced you and you embraced their culture. And
I had purpose again.
You did. You did. It was a wonderful purpose, and you thrived in that setting, and you were able to get back on your feet.
Yeah, I love that place.
How long were you there?
Was it 3.5 years?
And was it CAD CAM stuff? Am I remembering that? What
yeah,
were you doing there?
I was in the model room for a little bit, and then my buddy Dylan, good buddy of mine, he fought for me to get me a job in CAD CAM. Man, loved it.
And so was Dylan, who was your boss when you were in CAD CAM there?
Dylan.
And what's it like working for your buddy?
Work's work.
Yep.
But he's really a good boss, so I never had any problems.
I love it.
I miss that place a lot.
And like every good journey, you fall in love. Tell me about that.
Women, I tell you, what they'll do to you, man.
Tell me about that women's story.
So I meet this girl online, and man, stole my heart. She's still here happily today. I'm down there.
So she lives about an hour. She's in Binghamton, right?
Yeah, I'm down in Binghamton.
And so that romance starts, and you're going back and forth.
Yeah, it was hard there for a while, though. I was getting to the point where one of us was going to have to, relocate, or the relationship wasn't going to keep going, because it was every weekend one of us was.
And I can remember you talking about her coming up here and looking for work, or you going there, and you were guys were just trying to figure it out.
Yeah. And now, with the economy and everything, we're still trying to figure it out. But we got each other.
And you've been down in Binghamton now 2 or 3 years,
Yeah, 3 years now.
and there's been a new addition.
Yeah, it's crazy. Never thought it would happen.
I know.
Had a beautiful daughter.
How old is she now?
20 months.
I love it.
Yeah.
What are the great things about her?
It's just everything I wanted to be as a kid. I just love to see it. It's kind of awkward to tell you the truth. You know what I mean? But man, I can't wait for the future. Just watching her grow up. She's so smart and just fun to be around.
Are your girlfriend's parents down there with you guys? Do you have some support and help with your daughter down there, or do you both have to?
Yeah, her mom.
Okay.
Yeah, her mom and her aunt, they help a lot with child care.
As a dad with 2 kids who, I don't know, being a good dad is probably the thing that I take the most pride in. But when they were little, there was some stuff. You know, they got a little nutty. Is your daughter nutty like you are, running all over, or is she?
I'm in trouble. I'm in deep trouble. Now she's counting to almost 20 now.
Nice.
ABCs and running all over the place. Just happy. I love it. It's nice to come home and just have her run to you.
It's those are special times.
Yeah, definitely. I wouldn't trade that for the world.
As we look back over your journey, right? We struggle a little with mental health and addiction, and you have the courage to open up your own shop, and that fails.
Yeah.
And dad dies, and you start to get up again, and then you cut your leg off, and you not even off.
I didn't do it.
Well, but you have an injury to your leg,
No, yeah.
and you try to get up again, and you find the darkest place, and then finally you take the leg off, and somehow we find another dark place, right? And now, really, for the past 7, 8, 9 years, you've been in a good place. If you had to share, I mean, and on the brink of suicide at one point,
Many times.
if there's someone out there that you could share, how do you bounce back from being in that dark place?
You gotta dig deep. You really do. But you gotta know that you're worth it. And for anybody out there listening that doesn't think they are, everybody in this world has a purpose. You know? And I think if somebody would just listen to them, the world would be a better place. 20 to 40 happens real fast, man. I heard it only gets faster. And, you know, time's a thief. It's the only thing you can't get back. So enjoy it.
If there's any other messages that you wanted to share with anybody out there, what would they be?
If you're struggling with mental health, do not be afraid to ask for help. You know, and hate, anger, something I've struggled with a lot. I still do. You know, I'm still in counseling. I'm a work in progress. But, you know, hate is the most exhausting thing in the world. And being angry at somebody, that person's just getting on with their life. You're over here boiling over nothing. You're going to have something coming at you every day. You just got to bounce around it, man.
And it's emotion. It's an emotion that is not often worth hanging on to, but it's also an emotion that we can really get stuck with, right? And it just lingers and beats you up.
I mean, yeah, getting stuck in your head is a very dark place.
I can't thank you enough for being here.
It's been a pleasure.
I can't thank you enough for sharing and watching you go through all of this journey. I can't tell you how proud I am of you about where you are now.
Oh, you do know I couldn't have done it without you.
Well, thank you.
You saved my life. You stuck by me through thick and thin.
You saved your own life. I just stuck next to you through the journey.
You know what I mean.
I do. Thanks, my friend. It's been a
Yes,
pleasure.
It's an awesome time being here. Thank you.